Hey everybody, Tony Cottaspati here from the GreatVulcanMajority.com blog, and I wanted to do a little bit of a presentation here on what I think has been very underreported in the media, and that's this decline of the Democratic Party. It is shocking, and it hasn't been reported very much. They kind of hint at it. I think it shows there's a crisis of leadership in the Democratic Party. And I'm going to show you a few slides here that I got from a website called ballotpedia.com. And they track election results at every level of government. And so what I want to show you here is that I have two charts that I put up here. This one here is the party that dominated prior to the 2010 election cycle. And what you see are states that are in blue have both legislative chambers controlled by the Democratic Party. States that are in red are both legislative chambers controlled by the Republican Party. And if there were states that had a split, one chamber controlled by Republicans, one by Democrats, those are in purple. There's one oddball in this whole scenario, and that's Nebraska, that has technically a nonpartisan legislature, and it only has one body as opposed to every other state having two. But Nebraska is really a conservative state. So even though technically they're called nonpartisan, I'm assuming that they're really more Republican. I mean, they vote red in every national election. But this is what that map looked like prior to the 2010 election, which many people refer to as the Tea Party election. Now look at the map in 2014 and look how much more red it is. I mean, here we have Indiana, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, big states, especially in the Electoral College, and of course Michigan. They were purple. Only one chamber was a Republican chamber and one was a Democrat. Now look at it. Now look at it. It's all red. And not only that, look at Wisconsin. Wisconsin, very liberal state, but in the past few years, Wisconsin is now entirely controlled by Republicans, and that's obviously influenced a lot by Scott Walker. But I mean, it's just an amazing transformation, and we'll go further into this. This is just one chart. And most of the charts after this really are just subsets of these two, but they will give you a good indication of what happened in the 4 or 5 years since Barack Obama's been president, essentially. Now, if you look at this, this just isolates the states that are Democrat, where the Democratic Party controlled both state legislative chambers. Look at this over here. 26 states were controlled by Democrats where they had control over both legislative chambers at the state level. Now look at it. It's 11 states. And they're really the 11 of the most liberal states in the country. Oregon, California, Hawaii, Illinois, Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland. Not even New York. New York is actually a divided state, which is astonishing. It's an astonishing trend at the state level. And this should mean, really, if you think about it, state government is more representative of the people's feelings because there are many more state representatives than there are congressmen or senators. There's something like 7,100 state representatives that are either state senators or state assemblymen, as opposed to 535 congressmen and senators. So this is a much more democratic representation, in my opinion, of people's sentiments around the country. Let's go to the next chart. This is the same chart as before, but this shows the Republican transformation, and it's way more than even what you saw with the Democrats. The Democrats went from 26 states to 11. The Republicans went from 14 states to 30. So they they went they more than doubled the number of states that they control both legislative chambers. Next chart. This just shows the the states that flipped from Democrat to Republican control after the 2014 election. And you could see some liberal states in here. Washington State, Minnesota, which isn't reliably conservative. I mean, they elected Al Franken. Colorado, New York, and New Hampshire. New Hampshire can go either way, but New York, it's amazing. And again here, what we have is the current state of affairs after the 2014 election, and this is how it breaks down by Democrat and Republican. And I'm not even giving the Republicans Nebraska here because technically they don't get it, but you could, for all intents and purposes, assume Nebraska is a red state. So this just shows you that people are talking about in the national media about how the Republican Party is like hanging on by its fingernails. This would make that into a lie. This shows that the Republican Party isn't suffering. This would show that the Republican Party is burgeoning. Its success is unprecedented. And also, what's not shown in this chart, in any of these charts, is the fact that there are 31 Republican governors and 54 Republican senators now, which also implies that the Republicans are not hanging on by their fingernails. But it does increase the likelihood as to why the Democrats are utilizing things like immigration, war on women, gay marriage, and all those kinds of issues to push for a new coalition to bring the Democrats back to power, because this would indicate that the Democrats are in serious trouble, not the Republicans. And here, again, this is the last chart. This just shows you before and after. Before 2010 for Democrats and Republicans, and after 2014 for Democrats and Republicans. Again, it's astonishing. I wanted to bring it to you. I hope this is food for thought in your conversations with people, wherever you have conversations about politics and the future of the political parties. This shows that the Democratic Party is in trouble and the Republican Party is in ascendancy. And in my opinion, the reason the Republican Party is in ascendancy, especially at the state level, has to do with the Tea Party. And that's all I have. So thanks for checking this out, and I hope you enjoy going to the website and check out ballotpedia.com. I have nothing to do with it. I just got this information from there. It's a great website for nonpartisan kind of reporting on what's going on in politics at any level of government.